Hello, it's Abby from All Volleyball, and I'm back with TJ DeFalco. TJ, if you guys don't know, he's currently over in Japan playing volleyball. They're close to the finish of their season, but I'll give the floor to you, TJ. How's your season been, and what's next for as far as the season goes?
Yeah. Hi everybody, welcome back. The season has been up and down the whole ride. We've had 44 games, which is an absurd amount of games on the body and or in a season. And the way it works here is in Japan we play Saturday, Sunday every week since September. So been a little interesting, but time passes like that, and it's been very fun. This country is amazing. I love living here. The people are amazing. The teammates are amazing. Just the volleyball is also amazing, a very high quality volleyball, high level. It's just a lot when you play two matches back to back every weekend. But other than that, going well. Had a period there where we lost a bunch of matches in a row. Had some injuries. Had a lot of injuries this year, but dealing with it, and we're playing in the quarterfinals here in a couple days. So all good.
Awesome. Yep. Carry along. You just got to do what you got to do. So, you were talking a little bit about the timeline. So, when did your season start exactly?
September, no, October 12th.
October. So, you go through the holidays and all of that. That's kind of wild. Well,
Yeah,
it's really interesting because with women's pro volleyball in the United States, all of the formats are kind of different. So then you kind of I kind of have had to learn as I go, learning about the other leagues overseas and then especially men's leagues as well. So after the season's over, what's next for you? Do you play in other countries or are you just in this league?
so what happens after season is usually what would normally happen is I would transition after the season right into like a little bit of a rest break time frame, whatever, for maybe 2 weeks, something like that. And then I would go right into national team gym in California, and we would train for the upcoming tournaments and the summer ahead, and play volleyball all summer.
It honestly
Yeah.
sounds like fun. Not gonna lie,
Well, yeah,
it
it's
never
fun until
stops.
you do it for 9 years, 10 years, and you're like, well, this is a lot of volleyball.
Oh my gosh. So, what would you say? What was something that is playing in Japan what you expected, or is there something specific that you kind of weren't expecting when going into the league?
Yeah, I think just from the volleyball fans out there that have watched a lot of international volleyball before, meaning like VNL stuff and the Olympics and stuff like that, is that something you'd expect just from watching Team Japan is an absurd amount of ball control and defense, and that is very true in this country. And I expected it, and it still to this day blows my mind. It's like how do they do that sometimes? How do balls stay in the air? How do they do that? How do they get in the position to dig like some of these? It's insane. So that was something that I was even expecting, and I'm still surprised by.
That's wild. Yeah, I feel like when I watch I would say it's Team Japan, during VNL, I'm also so impressed at how quick the offense is and just how crafty all of the plays are and everything, which I think is also a men's volleyball thing in general, but that's definitely something that I noticed. Would you say that the speed of the offense is quicker, or is it more just rallies and stuff?
Yeah, I think they because naturally with not being as physical as some of the most of the other countries in the world, they have to find ways to still score points, and that comes with being crafty. But then also they have there's a lot of physical players in this country and of the Japanese nationality, and but nothing like a Russia or an Italy or a Brazil. Like they don't have that type of physicality, but they have strong arms and fast offenses. But then they're also crafty, so that they make up for a lot of the physicality in other areas, which is what they have to do to adapt to the game.
Yeah, so would you say that that has helped you, playing in Japan and going from there to going to national team? What do you think you could kind of take from that league to the national team?
Yeah, I think just the overall awareness of being more crafty, I think for sure has helped me in this league find different ways to score points. And also realize that tipping doesn't work here really.
That's actually surprising.
Yeah, I mean they're going to defend it. the best way to be crafty and that they've kind of mastered over here is getting a block out, which is um, it is an art in itself. Because if I'm still learning how to do it, but if I do it wrong, I get blocked every time. So there's a fine line between new and useful technique as opposed to trying to do something and it's just not working.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. Okay, overall, what was your favorite part about, well, you're still there, obviously, but what is your favorite part about living and playing in Japan? I know you talked about the playing part, but what about just like the overall living?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to say the total cliche answer of the food, but then also just the atmosphere here. I'm thankful enough to live in a little bit of a rural kind of setting. There's still buildings all around me and all that kind of stuff, but it's nowhere near like a Tokyo or like an Osaka where it's just millions and millions of people. So I'm thankful enough to be in a quiet area where it's calm, a small little town, but I also have very quick access to those big cities. So I'm a 30-minute train ride and it's easy. That's one of the other things that I've really, really loved and enjoyed about this country is the public transportation is through the roof. And so it makes everything super easy. Don't even, I have a car and I can drive, whatever, do that. But it makes it so much easier just to hop on a train and just get to my destination.
It's really nice. That's
Yeah.
also something that I noticed when I went to Portugal is just like the public transportation and like the idea that you could get like from one place to another just on a train is just like so bizarre.
Yeah. Definitely weird to a lot of all the Americans pretty much.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, we'll move into the hot takes.
All right,
So,
let's
if you
go.
guys don't know, I have a podcast called Volley Takes and we do hot takes. So, I was like, let me bring that over to here with TJ. These are very general volleyball hot takes, but we will start with um, a jump float serve is harder to pass than a jump topspin serve. And then you can go either strongly agree, slightly disagree, or strongly disagree.
Okay. I'll say slightly agree because when you get, can I give an explanation or do you just want
Yes,
answers
yeah,
hot?
yeah, give an explanation.
I would say when it starts getting up into the higher echelons of speed, there are very few people in the world that can handle a close to 80-mile-an-hour serve.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Regardless of how good your technique is, it's still coming with such power that it's hard to handle that. But for every other case, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's something that could slightly be different between the men's and the women's game is because the jump topspin serves from the guys are just like they're coming at you so hard that like it's almost impossible to defend. But in the women's there are still a lot of jump topspin serves that are difficult, but I would say like generally the float serve because you literally don't even know where
Yeah.
it's going. And then I've also seen the kind of like the hybrid serve where it's like it comes just as hard as a jump topspin serve, but it's floating, and that just makes it 10 times harder.
Yeah. Those are the ones that are like impossible to deal with no matter what.
Yeah. Alrighty. Another hot take. They should allow for more substitutions in men's volleyball.
Interesting. And I don't know about that one. I think the way that the current status of it is forces coaching staffs and teams and all that kind of stuff to strategize when to put in subs for certain periods of the game, momentum shifts, any of that kind of stuff. Guys need a break or need something different on the court. That allows it to be like have some involvement with the coaching staff
Hmm.
to have some impact, I guess. Because if we had let's say double the amount of subs, then it would just be like, oh, change them. And I
Hmm.
think that's how it would be. I don't know, but I would imagine that the amount of coaching responsibility is higher right now with the least amount of subs because
Yeah.
if you do a sub at the wrong time, then it's like, well, that was your decision and you kind of affected and you have some ownership in the game of volleyball.
Yeah. I also like I feel like the problem with having too many subs, especially in like for the younger kids, is like I feel like when you're younger, you really got to learn all of the fundamentals. And when you have too many subs, people are really only playing either front row or back row. And it's just so much harder to really develop as a player. I almost think it's backwards. Like there should be less subs at the younger age and more subs at the older age
Yeah, to
because the
kind of
older,
force
the
them
older
to
guys
beat
need
them.
breaks. But alrighty, next one. This one's really interesting. I don't know if I have an opinion on this one. The let serve should not be allowed in volleyball.
Interesting.
No.
What's interesting, I don't know, because I think we have in pretty much every rotation, we have players that are responsible for the let serve. I get it if it's in the perfect area of a let serve, then it's probably going to go down. But you have guys technically trying to cover that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's not like in it's not like in tennis where you got one guy and if a let serve goes, then it's not allowed. That makes sense because
Yeah.
it's going to be an automatic point, whatever. But there are times where let serves can have some receivers. So I think if you get a let serve in the right area, I think it should 100% be allowed.
Yeah, I think it also provides like more excitement to the game, especially when one literally like trickles over the net. And it's one of those where you're like, well, like there's nothing really I could have done, but
Yeah. It's one of those things that like sucks when it happens to you, but are super grateful and happy when it happens to when you
yeah,
get.
exactly, exactly. Alrighty, last one. This one might be a little spicy. Barrows are the most underrated position in volleyball.
Underrated. I'd say, yeah, I think that's fair, just because of the nature of their responsibility. They pass balls, and if they're good at their job, they shouldn't be passing balls because the other team shouldn't be serving them. And then they're really the only job is to defend, which is a very skillful, needed job. But I think that they get a bad rap because they don't do very much on the court. So yeah, I think I agree with that one.
Yeah, I feel like there's always debate for like the most per se, but I think they're like one of the most underrated because one, I think serve receive is the single most like important skill in volleyball. But then also they're not really like their purpose is not like directly scoring, but just preventing the other team from scoring. And I actually have a lot more respect for liberos. I transitioned my senior year from outside to libero. So gained a lot of respect for liberos. I was like, man, I was like, this is all like it's kind of frustrating when all you do is pass. Like
Yeah,
it's kind of wild. But
definitely.
alrighty, well, TJ, thank you so much for hopping on. This was awesome. And next time around, you might be in a different environment. You might be back over here in the United States. But this was awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching and tune in next month.